Hi, hello. Do you ever have the feeling like there's too many champions in League and you're not really sure, even after all your friends and you picked your best champions, that you're not really sure what your game plan is? You're not really sure when you're the strongest. You're not really sure how to make that better in the draft. And you look at pro games, and somehow all the analysts are able to tell you what's bad and what's good. I'm going to try and help you with this. This is not really for challenger players. This is not for very high level players because there will be more um, details present, smaller minutia in the matchups, that some of these general concepts kind of fall flat. But for gold scrubs like myself or platinum and below, this kind of rock paper scissors I've made, which is inspired by LS's color, like coloring of all the champions to try and make a theme, goes like this. You have champions which can only go forward, who want to flank, who want to shut people down, who want to jump in and try and kill you. Then you have champions who just want to sit back, take some of the early aggression, and really just outskill slash outfarm you. Play around Baron, play around Elder, around Soul, really get a front to back team fight, maybe split push a little bit, that kind of playstyle. And you have mid range control champions who really want to kind of control what the enemy is doing, poke people out, zone people out, those kinds of champions. And you have this nice triangle here, where that aggro flank gets stopped by mid-range, who's already kind of strong in the early game. And aggro does pretty damn well against people who just want to sit back and farm. They can get killed early, they can probably end the game before green ever gets going. Then green will eventually outskill the blue, who probably will run out of steam, won't have enough damage, or get out sustained by green, and so the triangle continues. Now, some champions are purple, where they have a kit that requires a certain condition met. Think about a Draven who needs an early kill. Think about Kindred who needs stacks. Think about a Karthus who needs a low AP team to be on to be effective. He doesn't want to see MR on the enemy team, that kind of stuff. This is the kind of thinking, or this is the kind of box I place the champions in. You might disagree, that's completely fine. Feel free to copy this sheet and make your own. These are some drafts we did in Clash. This is a draft that worked out for us. This is a draft that really didn't work out for us. Here you see champions that really don't have any synergy with each other. Corki and Jinx want to kite back, while Poppy and Garen want to go in. Poppy and Garen get easily controlled by the blue Lulu. Vayne turns into a red champion. And this whole squad wants to go in, while this squad is kind of yeah torn. The Morgana doesn't know if she wants to join the Garen Poppy into a suicide mission, or try and Black Shield maybe one of the carries, and there's no answer for the Zed, right? I try and rated all the champions. I gave him an out of 5 rating. So for example, Aatrox has 4 red and 1 purple. This is because Aatrox can only go forward. Once he's in there, he can't really get out, and he kind of has to consider what's on the enemy team. Consider this with Annie, who doesn't really care who's on the enemy team. She just wants to snowball. She wants to get a lead out of lane, or maybe with Predator go bottom, or as a support, just get a lead out of lane. She wants to snowball the map. She doesn't care who's on the enemy team. She just wants to, kind of do her combo and get out. So that's the red playstyle. The green playstyle, as I said, is front to back. Wait till late game, you'll eventually outscale champions like Aphelios, Caitlyn, Camille, Cassio, Corki. These champions are okay to wait till late. They know they'll eventually outscale. You have blue champions who have a lot of either pick potential or terrain control, that kind of stuff. Ashe doesn't really want to go for the green playstyle front to back because she has a really hard time killing the tanks. She'd much rather prefer in the mid game play around her ulti, play around her volley poke, play around her kiting, and try and control the enemy, kite back and forth, and make sure she gets dragons. She's able to get key towers, get a sizable lead, and then end the game before much of the green stuff comes online, because she does get outscaled by other AD carries as well. And you could see a similar thing here with Ezreal. Um, for example, you have a Janna who probably wants the front to back late game and buff up a carry, but really she gets picked to kind of shut down aggressors who try and jump in, so she controls the space of her team and her enemy team. You could also see this with Lulu, but Lulu more so wants to buff up carries in the late game. She's more comfortable to try and make it to the late game. I do a general description. Some of the champions has less of a description, such as Malphite. Malphite just wants to press R and go in. It's once he's in there, he's in there. This could also be kind of green play style where he just front lines if he's full tank. It kind of alternates, but he has to think about what the enemy team is picking. If it's full AP, if it's really ranged, if there are not many immobiles, like if they have gap or if they can get away, can jump away, Malphite it becomes less useful. Also, if they have more AD, Malphite's more useful. Now you see some of the champions here also have a lot of purple in them. For example, Master Yi. I hate this champion because he requires an answer from your team. You just need to draft stuff that answers him. If you don't have that in the team, if you don't have hard CC, he will roll the game. The same would go for Ilaoi, for example. So this is full purple. You need to try and control this champion. A champion that's less purple, but still pretty purple, is Akali, who needs help from her team and needs few problems on the enemy team. In the end, she's a red champion. She wants to flank, she wants to assassinate, she wants to shut down a squishy, but she needs to look at the draft more carefully than, let's say, who's another assassin that doesn't really care? Rengar, for example. Rengar just goes in, he's pretty self-sufficient. Pretty much in every game you can see Rengars being picked, and he will just take someone out if the Rengar is good enough, especially in solo queue. Maybe not so much in Clash and Flex 5v5. But the Rengar, sure, he has to consider the draft a little bit as well. Every champion really has to consider the draft, but the purple points are really for champions that are less valuable or more valuable right out of the drafts, like as soon as. So hopefully this will help you. Feel free to just pick up this sheet and run with it. You do not have to agree with any of my assessments here. It's just to help you kind of box in champions because we have so many right now, and for you to try and to help you recognize what your team is good at and when you should strike. So think about it like this: red wants to do it early, green wants to do it late, and blue wants to do it in the mid game. Doesn't mean that red is bad in the late game, it just wants to get an advantage going. Once it loses that advantage, green and blue should probably win. And this is all in general. I've been watching the spring finals. I've been having a look at what the teams have been picking. Just now game 3 was picked. And game 2 was a little interesting, but eventually Corki just outskilled. Once again, we see a pretty interesting team from Gen G. This should be a SKT 3-0. We'll see what happens. Maybe they can snowball this. We see a very nice red and blue comp where blue kind of enables the red, but they picked enough blue here, the Threshing Azir, which really just neutralizes a lot of what they're trying to do, as well as the Sylas, who's able to take some of these key ultimates from a Sejuani, for example, to try and stop the aggression. It should be an SKT win, and I'll just leave you off with the commentators talking about what they saw picked. I'll play it at a faster speed. But this was the video. Just listen to what they have to say. They kind of discuss in a similar sense what they want to do. Maybe I'll chime in a little bit.
And so then it would come over to BDD Ruler to try to come up with some of the answers.
A little too fast.
For the Aphelios' T1. I mean, they're the ones that could actually just R1, R2 Aphelios Ornn, even though I believe
so we start off blue.
It is punishable. You can do that. I think that R1,
we see
R2,
green.
AD jungle.
Early Sylas because he's been heavily contested in the draft, and the Ornn pick, they kind of wanted to dissuade the Ornn pick, where the Ornn pick can still come through. If they still want to pick Ornn, it's kind of bad because the Sylas is a counter pick. Just takes the Ornn stuff and adds an AP thing to it. The Sylas doesn't have the Ornn items, but hopefully the game will be over before Ornn items really come online. And still then, Sylas has a fine late game.
Is nice. Sylas is a very interesting champion in that he can also go 3 roles. So, retaining a lot of value there.
Also the flex possibilities, just super nice to pick here.
As a multi-flex pick, Tri-Flex.
Yeah, it also soft counters any kind of Ornn follow-up pick from Gen G, who have shown that they have loved Ornn
red.
picking, whereas Kana has just loved playing the Sylas into that. As now Kallista's going to be picked up, will they just pick up Thresh? Or something else
that
to
would
go
be
along
smart.
with the
that
Kalista.
Would be smart, yeah.
Looks like perhaps not.
But this is super red
and
really tells you what their game plan is. So they want to go forward. This team just wants to go forward. And LS makes a really good point.
Here, so a very different look to the Gen G composition here on blue side.
And now Kana could actually just go for Ornn. He could also handshake a knife fight. by taking Lucian or something like that, but Gen.G are full all in right now as it's currently standing, and the ball's in T1's court to just dial it back, size it up, and then have more mid-rangey and scaling champions on their...
So what LS is saying, you see this red, like this red comp that's coming out, you see this forward comp coming out, and he says, okay, we have to pick blue, we have to pick mid-range. We have to pick stuff that kind of negates the aggression. The Thresh, and later on the Azir will come in, and the Azir will fill a blue role instead of a green role, where they try to negate some of the aggression that will come in, kind of stop them in their tracks when they try to engage, and then retaliate with the late game if Ali has consistent damage. And
their side. So
to
Tarek
skip through the bans,
here anyway, so
what
you've got bans right.
what T1 is scared of is more red, where they're gonna accelerate the game so much that it's out of their control, and that's like very volatile champs like Blitzcrank, and later on the Tarek is kind of nonsense with the Kalista. It's just too OP of a combo. And Gen.G is kind of scared of the Corki from Faker, which has been present all
by
game.
T1.
They honestly should be okay if they pick Corki with the team that they have drafted.
Now the
but
thing here
I
is that
especially
T1
don't
will
agree
probably
with the
select
LeBlanc,
either another flex
because the Jays would be very happy
champion
to
or
play
just the mid
against
champion
LeBlanc, in
outright
my
on
opinion.
R4 in order to end it.
They pick blue on the Azir. It's completely safe. That's okay. Azir has been shown to be a great blind pick in this meta. It's completely fine. But these two blue picks that have come in are just in an answer to the red.
Vel'Koz would be...
Okay, well,
What?
You take away Thresh, Tarek, Blitzcrank, and what else are you going to put in there in terms of a beefy support that you can throw in? I was thinking maybe an Alistar or something like that, but instead they go for a Volibear, which is common into Yuumi, but as you guys know, we haven't seen her just yet.
And so we get one more red pick to really help the engage to be thrown in by Kalista. It's a terrible pick. It's pretty funny how Aless described it. And one enabler, a blue champion that kind of helps the red guys, gives him a reset with the ulti, gives him the speed up, maybe can catch him out with the double bombs. But this is your comp. This runs out of steam extremely quickly, right? I think anyone could see this, especially once you start thinking about these colors. It's blue, red, with especially red. These champions have to start winning straight away. And what will the last pick be?
Zilean is going to be ran back here. So that Zilean is going mid. Rascal is playing Jace as Gen.G reveal their composition. And now T1 have the option to counterpick as I see LS over there shaking his head, not too happy about.
Now, you can probably guess why LS wouldn't be happy with the Renekton hover, because if they then opt to go red in this team, which really doesn't support a red champion whatsoever, and you could maybe say, oh, Renekton's going to be frontline, and he doesn't. He doesn't want. You might as well pick any other tank, right? Renekton wants to build damage. He wants to smash his lane. That is not necessary in this game. The Jace will go top lane. The Renekton will have a terrible time against the Jace, or maybe win, but it's going to be very volatile. You just have to sit back and let them get outskilled.
The Renekton hover, but will Kana be taking that? The answer is
blue. Cannon would be better, but Cannon's actually kind of red as well.
not likely. Okay.
And this is a sick pick, so LS is super happy.
Ornn! Oh,
hello.
Steve!
Welcome myself back to the desk as Ornn was locked in finally on our...
So that'll be the video. It ran a little later than I wanted it to, but hopefully this helps you. It's similar to LS's Magic the Gathering color draft, but hopefully a little dumbed down for myself, but hopefully also you, if you're a little lower ranked. If you look at these drafts and you just look at the colors as they've been shown, you should see that there's really a timer on Gen.G, and it'll come down to the game. If the game goes longer, you can just count on it that SKT will win and SKT will go 3-0. Let me just go to live. I haven't seen the game yet. It's still going.
Yet another
It's 4-8. Let's see. 0-4 Jace is a big yikes. And then it'll just come down to the Kalista in late game. And what is she going to do against the outrange of Azir Aphelios? It's going to be near impossible. So good luck with your games. Maybe you can apply it to solo queue as well. Feel free to copy the sheets, all that, and have a great day.